Hello, welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the boxing capital of the world. Well, today we have a special guest on who's been around boxing for quite a while, and he's from Chicago, the Windy City. You know, he's glad he's out in Las Vegas now with the kind of weather you're having in Chicago these days. But anyway, we have none other than Derek Harman, who works for Top Rank with Bob Arum, great promoter Bob Arum. Welcome to the show, Derek.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Well, Derek, you know, boxing is in your blood just like it is in mine. And I remember back in the good old days when I went to Chicago back in the year 1961, when I took the National Intercity Golden Glove Championships at the old Chicago Stadium, beating Oscar German. Now, Oscar German was a top bantamweight who had beaten Manny Stewart. He beat Emmanuel Stewart that year during the tournament, and he ended up fighting me for the finals in Chicago Stadium, and I beat him a decision. And it was a great fight. And I was talking to Manny Stewart. He would tell me, Joe, you were that little skinny Puerto Rican from New York that came out to Chicago and beat Oscar German. He said, that's the guy that beat me. I said, really? Anyway, that's your old city, Chicago. I love it. Great place to be. Now, I'm glad you're here in Nevada. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Top Rank these days?
You know, I originally started off just, working with Bob. And, Bob being the man he is, allowed me to make progress and grow inside the company. So now I'm fighter coordinator, liaison. Well, I kind of do it all. A little bit of matchmaking for the undercard sometimes. Anywhere from, talking with the fighters, make sure they're mentally prepared for their fight, make sure their mind is right. So I do numerous of things,
Now you're talking about, you keep telling these fighters how to think, how to be good frame of mind going into the fight, which is a good thing. Now, you are a fighter. How many fights did you have as a fighter, amateur, professional?
Well, first of all, Joe, before I even go into my career, I think fighters, athletes in general, we go out and prepare ourselves physically. The most important thing that we leave out and we need to include is training our mindset.
Right.
Because I think greatness starts in the mind. They said, in the Bible, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So you got to believe in who you are and what you're doing and be committed and have discipline and be consistency to be successful at anything. So now I'm going into my career. I wish I had known those three things that were embedded into me before I started boxing, which was consistency, commitment, and discipline. I started off in Chicago. I don't think I necessarily started off, so I want them to be world champion. It was more like, this is a way out to get off the streets, to do something and see where it goes. And I was pretty successful at it. I got number one in WBC, mandatory. I fought Roy in 2001, and I was also won a couple of junior titles, NABF belt, WBC, and Continental belt. So I had some pretty good success in boxing.
And you say you fought Roy. Talk about Roy Jones.
Roy Jones Jr., Montel Griffin, David Telesco, Glenn Koff Johnson, Tim Littles, Darius Michalski. So at that time, when I was fighting.
Yeah, those are good names. Good names up there in your resume.
Yes.
I mean, those guys,
Yes.
They were pretty, especially Roy Jones Jr., Montel Griffin. Yeah, I remember those fights. And so you were in that division. And you won those couple of championships. So we're very proud of what you have done, your accomplishments in boxing. Now you're helping these young fighters, and you're getting these fighters on the right track, getting to think right. You know about discipline. If you have no discipline in boxing, you're not going to make it. The confidence and the self-esteem, all of that. You learned all of that throughout the years, in your life, working with in your personal work, and plus being a fighter, all of that, you put it all together, all those ingredients, and made you the person that you are today. Now, I mean, it takes a lot to be an individual, be a leader like you are. You're very well respected here in the community in Nevada and different places around the world, because I know you travel a lot with a bar Aram. Every time I go do a fight, when I was refereeing, I look around, you were always there. So I know that you're always learning a lot in the industry, and I think they got the right man for the right job.
Well, thank you very much. I just feel like it's, for me I've been with Top Rank for about 13 years now. For
Yeah,
me not to walk away with a lot of knowledge about boxing, I always say, I'm probably the least educated person on paper inside the office, but I'm the most educated person when it comes to the sport.
right.
So I always say, listen, I can learn what you guys are doing in office, but at this point in you guys' lives, you can never learn what I did in the ring. So I understand boxing, I understand fighting.
Yeah.
So now I'm on the business side of it. I'm trying to soak up all the knowledge as possible so I can, benefit from that as well.
Well, I'll tell you, it's good to have people like you in the sports game, because it's true, like you say, these people in the office, they run a good office operation, but when it comes to boxing, inside the ring and know what it feels to get hit and get buzzed and know what it feels
Right.
to get what those guys they never been there. But you're the expert when it comes to that. That's why you're the right guy to be close to the fighters. You can explain to the fighters because you know about it. You've been in there. There's a big difference when you talk about it and when you have actually done it. And being that you've done it for so many years, it's a plus for Top Rank to have you there. Anyway, I think that more people like you are needed in boxing. I wish that I like to see a lot of fighters get a little bit more educated, because what happens is a lot of these fighters make so much money, and they don't know how to handle it. And at the end of their career, they end up, broke. And you got to wonder what's going wrong with these fighters. What good example what good advice can you give fighters out there that are listening to what they should be doing, handling their money when they're making it?
Well, Joe, I always say this, Joe, I have a 15-year-old son. You give him a car too soon, it does more damage to him. Same car, same son. He's just not ready enough. He's not mature enough to handle something that's of value. So, most athletes I hear go broke. 90% of athletes I hear go broke. I think this has a lot to do with them being a young man, having a lot of fame, and being accessible to a lot of things in life that they weren't accustomed to, and they're just not ready for it. So before you know it, before their careers are over, they don't blow most of their money, if not all of it. So, I think the most important thing is to listen, to get you a financial advisor, listen to someone who you trust, and to hopefully, when you're done fighting, that you financially, stable,
Yeah,
you know.
do you think that fighters maybe should kind of come to some kind of an agreement with their management team that put X amount of 10%, 20% of their purses, put it away in some kind of equity fund so that they can have that and they can start when they retire from boxing, or if they reach a certain age, age of 45 or over, they can start drawing money from there, because at least they can have something they can fall on when they retire from boxing. I think, which is something I don't see it happen. I think that there was Mark Breland from New York. I think they did that to him, that they took X amount of dollars from his checks every time he fought, and that he lives off of that these days. Which is, I think, is a great idea. What do you think?
Those things, all those things are possible. Then it always comes, to the trust issue. Look at Felix Trinidad. I hear that he allowed some of his managers or whoever, give him some direct financially, and they stole from him.
Yeah,
So it's sometimes it's a win-lose situation, depends on who you're with. So
right.
yeah, they need to figure out how to save money and to invest in money. But I always say this: most people don't realize that weapons in our hands, and that anything you can find out anything in the world. So there's never any excuse.
Yeah.
Wait for someone to handle anything in your life, including your money and your career. You got to take those things sometimes in your own hands and figure it out yourself.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, some of these some of these fighters are not educated enough to know which direction to go, especially fighters from
Absolutely. Yes.
fighters from foreign countries. That they over here,
Yep.
here in the United States, it's mandatory that you attend school. Some of those third world countries, it's not mandatory, so a lot of them don't even go to any type of schooling at all. Some of them, and that's why you get all these fighters that end up broke at the end because they're not educated. Now you got fighters from all walks of life, whether you're from Asia, you're from South America, you're from the United States, Great Britain, yeah, from Europe, you're from all over the world. I mean, years ago, it was only a big list of fighters. Most of the champions were all from the United States. Then Bob Arum started picking fighters from other foreign countries and bringing them in, like he did with Manny Pacquiao. He took Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao came from the Philippines, who was a poor boy selling bubble gum in the street, candies in the street when he was a young kid. He was homeless, and then Bob Arum turned him around, and made him one of the richest fighters in the game, in the history of boxing. And I think that that's something very positive that Bob Arum has done. And there's there's been a bunch of promoters. You have Don King. You have I'm talking about names that you hear out there all the time: Oscar De La Hoya and Lou DiBella. So many. There's a list of top-notch promoters, Frank Warren, and you got Eddie Hearns, a lot of guys all over the world. But now Bob Arum seems to be always stand out because of what he has done for boxing here in the United States. He's been consistent for so many years in boxing. Now you're under that same umbrella of Top Rank, which you should be very pleased and honored to be working there, because that's a very well organized company. Top Rank, it's really like they got the best fighters. He knows where to pick them and whatnot. And when they get to the United States, I'm sure that you're part of that, working with them directly one-on-one. And I like to see these fighters he has. Like today, he represents X amount of fighters. Now, fighters have to learn how to appreciate certain things. Not everything comes overnight. You have to earn it. Sometimes things don't work out because of certain contracts are not, whatever is wrong. The other side wants more money, or they don't want to fight you, or whatever. And then people get, how can I say, they get a little confused and thinking, well, there's other reasons. And I think that most fighters today should be very happy that they got good promoters out there that are doing good things for them, getting them on the right track. Now, I understand that there's a little bit of issues going on with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford was the welterweight champion of the world. Most recently, he stopped Sean Porter, and Sean Porter claimed that he retired that night from boxing. I'm going to see if he holds to those words, Sean Porter, being that he retired. But so what's next with what's happening with Terrence Crawford these days?
Well, first of all, before I even say anything, you talk about the list of promoters, and I think one of the reasons why Top Rank is still the number one promotion company in the world is because I think Bob and Todd, especially, Todd is young, and he learned how to adapt, to adjust in the boxing world, just as a fighter may learn how to adapt and adjust in the ring. And Todd was able to, in our era, take what we have, social media and all these different platforms that we have, and learn how to market our fighters, and that's what he did. And so that's one of the reasons why Top Rank is still here. We were able to adapt and adjust to today's generation of young fighters and today's generation of fans. Now going to the Terrence Crawford situation, when Bob first told me that, it saddened me, because one of the reasons why it saddened me because it was like, well, I've been walking with this man for the past 12 years. And to think that someone that I hold close dear to my heart as a friend and a boss, someone would say, make an accusation of him being racist. I didn't see that. And if I had saw it, I probably wouldn't be at Top Rank. But I respect Bob, and I respect the Top Rank organization that I work for. And I'm a very outspoken person. Anybody that knows me, I'm very blunt, I'm very outspoken. I say what's on my mind. So if I had saw anything of that nature, believe me, I'd have been the first one to say something and say something about it and not even worry about the consequences. So yeah, I know that I work for a person that is into business.
Yeah.
He's not into colors. He's into the only color he's into is green. He's into business.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
The
that's
years
it,
that
really.
the years that I've known Bob Arum, for I would say over 25, 30 years, I've never, in my mind, I've ever come across him being racist in any way. On the contrary, he's always been helping out all the fighters from all walks of life. And it didn't make any difference what color you were. He always was involved just making money for his company and for the fighters. He's been very successful. And the year that I've known you, I mean, I'm shocked to hear those kind of words because this is not Bob Arum. Bob Arum is a man that's showing a lot of caring ways in so many different ways with so many fighters and so many individuals outside of boxing as well. And there's nothing but you're here, but nothing but good things about Bob Arum, So I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I'm going to say this last thing, and I'm going to just leave the subject alone. If you look at the history of boxing, you take every household name of champions that have been minorities. You see Bob Arum. And
Right.
so whether it's 30 years ago, whether it's today, all you have to do is look at our roster,
Right.
and that'll tell you facts. It'll tell you the facts 30 years ago, tell you the facts today, and you can't deny facts. So just look at our roster, look at our fighters 40 years ago, look at our fighters today, and then you judge for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, but from what I've seen from top rank Bob Arum, I mean, he's dealt with all kinds of fighters from all walks of life, but from way back 40 years ago to where he's at. I think he started as a promoter back in 1966, if I'm not mistaken, in the mid 60s when he became a promoter, and then in all these years, I never heard nothing negative about Bob being racist in any way whatsoever. He's helped out so many fighters, and you're right. The list of fighters, you can make a list, and you can see who's on those lists. And you can go from Muhammad Ali all the way straight down to the last fighters that he has right now, the champions that he has. Now, who's the most popular champion on this list right now?
Well, we got, go down the list. We got the likes of heavyweight, got the Tyson Furies, we got the Jared Andersons, we got Richard Torres, who's just an Olympics.
Right.
And so, if you look at our list of rosters, we have, and they're from all parts of the world of this and ethnicities and different everything. So we got young kids that we just signed that come off the Olympics. And so they're all of color. So, that's another statement to make. We got some great young talent come along. We still have guys like Fury and that are Shakur Stevenson is getting ready to fight.
Shakur
We got a
Stevenson.
great list of fighters,
Shak-
young guys.
Yeah, Shakur Stevenson is one of the top and up and coming junior welterweight. Is he, or is he a lightweight right now? So he has a lot of talent.
We got Teofimo Lopez.
Teofimo Lopez, yes,
Yes.
another
We got Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor,
right.
Vasily Lomachenko, Kasir Goldstein. I mean, Mason, Davis, Keyshawn Davis. We got talent.
Yeah,
We have talent, and Top Rank still remains to be the leading promoter of the world when it comes to boxing.
yeah, he's done a tremendous job. He's been around forever, and they have shown throughout the years that he has a lot of smarts when it comes to boxing. He knows how to pick them. He knows how to put them in the right direction to make sure they become contenders and then they become champions. And it takes you got to have a knack for that. You got to be able to figure things out for different fighters. different, when are they ready to fight, what issues. You got to know them. It's like like in football, baseball, and those coaches, they got to know their players. Same thing with a promoter. You got to know your fighters in order to direct them the way they do it. Bob Arum has always seemed to be directing his fighters in the right way to become contenders and then become world champions, and good ones at that. Because, the champions that you just mentioned, look at Manny Pacquiao, and so many, he had so many good ones, and all of them made millions and millions of dollars, and even Terence Crawford, and they all made a lot of money with Bob Arum, and you see that they've always, the whole world talks about these fighters, what great promoters they have. I'm glad to see that you guys are doing a hell of a job with these fighters, and what you're doing, Derek, is very important, because you seem to be guiding these fighters, giving them a vote of confidence, that they know that they're in good hands because you're part of that team. And you give people the feeling of want to be wanted. You want to be cared for. I'm sure they look up to you like a big brother.
Absolutely right.
They look up to you like a big brother, and you help them out. And I've seen you in action with them. I see how you treat them and how they treat you. And the same way with Bob Arum. To me, he treats you like a son. I can see him when you, wherever at the fight, you're there with him, and he's always making sure that you're by him. He cares for you so much, and I respect him for that because of the person that he is. And he got his wonderful wife, whom I think is adorable. She always gives me a big kiss on the cheek every time she sees.
Lovely's awesome.
She's
Mrs. Arum.
Mrs. Arum, she's a sweetheart, and I've always been very respectful. Everybody, and I really think, and Todd has been a great job too. Good family. So I'm glad that you're in good hands with good people and getting the fighters on the right track, because without you, it would be a little tougher.
Well, thank you very much for the compliments, Joe. I think one of the things that Top Rank has is great leadership, and that's why we remain to be at the boxing chain, with the platform that we have and the fighters that we have.
Right.
So, so when you have great leadership, there's no other reason but to be successful.
Right. Who do you have coming up next? Which next big fight's coming up for Top Rank?
Oh, okay, so we got Shakur Stevenson fighting Valdez at the here in Vegas on the 30th of April.
April 30th.
You got Josh Taylor is fighting this month. The Fury fight is in the works, so hopefully we'll see him soon.
Well, tell me about Fury. What's happening with Fury these days? Who's going to fight, White or Joshua? What's happening?
Well, I think it looks like White may be the opponent. I don't know the details and everything surrounding it right now. I think everything is still in the works, so they're still making decisions. But whatever Tyson Fury fights, you want to see him fight. No matter if it's Joshua, it doesn't matter if it's Dylan White or whoever it may be. He brings excitement.
Yeah.
He's a smart, great heavyweight.
Yeah. How about any other American fighters that we have heavyweights here on the horizon that are looking good?
Jared Anderson. Man.
He's only what, 23, 24?
Yeah, he's showing all the great qualities of being a great heavyweight champion. He's young, he's handsome, he has great personality, he has speed, he has movement, he has power, and so he's going to be something to reckon with. He's definitely going to be the heavyweight champ of the world. I see Tyson Fury passing the torch to Jared Anderson, and then we also have FA. We got Sonny Kano. I'm sorry, not Sonny Kano. He's heavyweight, but we got Richard Torres. He's Olympian, but Sonny's undefeated as well. We got Tony Yoko. So, we got some great heavyweights coming up.
Yeah, that's good. But Anderson definitely has a lot of talent. I've watched him fight. He fought here during the pandemic. He fought a couple of times, and I saw him, and I talked to him one night, and after one of his wins, and we were just talking in general, and I told him, I said, you got the makings of a champion, you're with the right people, and he's definitely one of my favorites when it comes to making it to become a heavyweight champion. He definitely has the talent. He can box, he can punch, he's very disciplined, he has good trainers. he has a good team. I think he can go places.
It is great character.
Yeah,
He's big smile. He's
yeah,
young. You look at him. He's a big guy. He's a heavyweight, but in this heavyweight body, he's a young man.
yeah. But yeah,
So
great personality.
great
I mean,
personality.
he's
Yeah,
very, very charming, good with the fans. I was watching him, how he talked. They come up to him and how he talks with them, very polite. And I told him, hey, don't change your ways, because your character, the ways you are, that's what's gonna make you. You could be a good fighter, but if you have a bad character about you, your bad personality, your people want to shy away from you. Be good the way you're doing it now. Don't change your ways. Just get more experience in the ring, and you're going to be champion sooner than later.
absolutely. There's two things that they look for. Number one, can you fight? Number two, are you marketable? You have a
Yeah,
smile. You have personality. You have
exactly.
charisma.
Exactly.
You got character. If you want to just look at people that are great fighters, great people in life that have accomplished things. They were great at what they did, and they had a personality, they have character, they had charisma. People loved them. And just look at our fighters in general, those who've made it to the top, the Furies, the Muhammad Ali's, the Mayweathers. Look at these guys' personality. Look what they did. They not only were great at fighting, but they're great in marketing themselves and personality and charisma. And so that sells
Yeah,
entertainment.
exactly. One guy that comes to mind a lot is Sugar Ray Leonard. He always had a beautiful smile,
Beautiful
very the
smile.
charisma, nice with everybody, and he would.
And America wants to see that. They want
Yeah,
to see it on TV. They want to see that big charm, the
everybody
smile.
everybody wanted him for a commercial
Right.
or all kinds of
Absolutely right.
endorsement. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Mhm.
Now, you remember George Foreman? The first time around, he was always kind of angry, kind of mean and whatnot. But the second time around, when he came back to become heavyweight champion, the second time of which I
They loved
refereed,
him.
that fight when he knocked out Michael Moore. But everybody loved George Foreman.
Absolutely.
They came out with the George Foreman grill, and before you know
Hmm.
it, he always had that beautiful smile. He found
Yep.
out that after learning that being nice and sweet with people, you're gonna get a lot more.
That's
Everybody
right.
wants you. Everybody want to
Hmm.
be around you, and that's the way you got to be in life. You got to be
Yep.
personable, caring, loving, and always helping people out there. That's my kind of guys. People who like to help
Yep.
people and get them on the right track. Yeah.
Yeah. As a fighter, we know you're tough. So, but when you get in front of the camera and you get in front of the mic, let's see your gentle side. Let's see your passionate side. Let's see your smile. Let's see your laugh. Let's see a real human being that's not mad inside the ring, but he's mad on the outside of the ring too. That can't be too good.
No, you gotta be nice. And I'll tell you, that's why a lot of people always tell me, Joe, you always got that beautiful smile on your face. Well, you know what? I've always been that way since I was a kid. My mother taught me. I come from a single parent home. My mother raised 4 boys by herself, but she always taught us about being gentleman-like to everybody, caring, loving, and giving, and helping people out.
Absolutely.
Always reaching out to help somebody, and I love doing that. That's my style. That's my makeup. I care about people. I care about making sure that things are done the right way,
Absolutely.
and honesty, and being, caring, loving. Hugs. I love hugs, and that's so important. Every time I see some of these fighters, man, I like, especially George Foreman, till he gives you the big bear hug. I mean, he's
Yeah.
unbelievable. He's a good guy. And Sugar Ray Leonard, and a lot of these guys, you got a lot of your fighters that you guys have today. When I see these guys, I say, man, don't change your ways. Keep that the personality
Absolutely.
going, to keep that charisma, but always be disciplined and keep your guards up at all times, because you never know. Somebody's always ready to knock your head off. But be careful. Be sweet, but be ready
Yep.
to knock him out if you have to.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yep.
tell me,
You're absolutely right.
so before we wrap it up, we got about a couple of minutes to talk about. I want to know a little bit more about your upbringing in Chicago, the way it is today, and the way it was when you were living in Chicago. What can we tell the people out there to do with these kids? What's going on?
Well, first of all, I think this generation here, one of the things they lack is respect. When we're growing up, you had leaders. They may not be the best of people in the world, or they may not be the most educated, but they were leaders. They tried to guide the children in the neighborhood. So today, I think this generation they relax respect. When I was growing up in Chicago, it made me who the person I am today. things wasn't bright, things wasn't always right, but I used everything that I went through and everything I've grown through in life to as a benefit. So I didn't go through it, I grew through it. So whether it was good or bad, I didn't just go through it. I grew through every situation and it helped me to adapt and to adjust. But it wasn't, it wasn't red roses, So I had my challenges.
Yeah,
And
well, let me tell you, I think that boxing, I think, was a good direction that you took. At that time, it was good for you because it taught you discipline, and it gave you your confidence and your self-esteem. All of that kicks in with boxing, like it did for myself. I'm from Spanish Harlem in New York. And same thing with me. I joined boxing, the amateur, then I turned pro. But today, I'm here trying to help out other people like yourselves, give me I mean, you're like a brother to me because you've been. I think believe
thank you.
you came to my gym one day at my house, and I just love having people that I can help and get them on the right track. I want you to keep up the good work. We're very proud of
Thank you.
you, your accomplishments, and we'll keep the word out there to people to keep their guards up at all times and protect themselves at all times because life is good if you do it the right way.
Absolutely. God
Okay.
bless. Thank you for having me on your
Okay,
show.
take care. We'll see you guys next week. God bless.
All right.